Greetings and welcome to the Rock and Roll podcast. Check out this record. My name is Mark, and please give a warm welcome to the most moist, hydrated. I tried to make a joke there, man I've ever known. It's Frankie D.
That's right. And even at 41 years old, that hydration has led to 3 to 4 trips at night to the bathroom.
That's right. I don't know why I said that's right as though I was confirming. Yeah, he gets up every night that much.
Mark knows.
Have your friends noticed that rock and roll music has become all you want to talk about? Well, hell yeah, dude. This is the podcast for you. And if they don't
that too.
I'm not reading well today. If your friends don't like it, you can tell them where to stick those best of the Eagles comps. And make sure they check out this record. We're also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever podcasts can be found. Heck, we're even on the tube of you.
That easy listening Eagles. That's right. New episodes drip to the drop directly to your ears. And of course, we like to rip what you hold sacred for your listening pleasures every Friday.
That's right. For the uninitiated here, Frank and I try to learn how to read in front of you. But also here on Check Out This Record, Frank and I find new records for each other to go through track by track and tell you what we really think about them. But that's not all. Oh, no. We also have a wide array of musical discussions, like in our Spotlight series, where we'll dig into a band's catalog, like a couple of grave robbers, and see what's worth a damn and what's just fertilizer.
Oh, yes. Or in our Versus series, we pit 2 albums, sometimes 3, against each other, and they duke it out for total stereo domination.
Oh, now if social media is your Jimmy Jam, be sure to check us out on the Instagram or the Fart Book. I've used those jokes several weeks in a row, and I don't plan on stopping. Where we have a group thingamajig, so a roasting of musical sacred cows never ever has to end. So mark yourself safe from shitty music and give us a like or a follow or whatever you do when you're not. Can we just make the internet about cat videos and bootlegging music again, people?
Yeah,
please.
That'd be great.
For the love of God.
Heck yeah.
Thank you.
Napster. Don't forget to pop on to the famous YouTube, and you can watch as we make these exact silly faces that we're making now as we put on the show, exclusive content that you don't want to miss. So fire off the old click on the subscribe button.
Now that that's all done, with Frank and I have a doozy of an album for you to check out this week. 2018's Television by San Francisco band Spiritual Cramp. This 6-piece band is made up of Mike Bingham on vocals, Stephen Kulo on guitar. God, I'm pretty sure I just said that dude's name is ass. Stuart Kulo. Sorry, dude, I'm going to try. On guitar, Mike Fenton on bass, Jacob Breeze on guitar. They call him Breezy. Blaine Patrick on drums, and Max Wickman on a tambourine.
What?
Plays a mean tambourine. Can't really hear too much of the record, but it's there. Yeah, Frank, ask me about the band, my man.
Mark, I've really been wondering about this, so please, if you can, just tell me where the band's name comes from.
Happy to, Frank. Spiritual Cramp is the name of a song by a band called Christian Death. Pretty cool name. In an interview with Cult Nation, that's cult with a V.com, Stuart had this to say about the title. Christian Death is cool and shit, but it's more like what those words literally mean together. That's what the band's about, rather than being influenced by Christian Death, end quote.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with that band, but from my research on this band, I figured out that's one of the things that they were about. So there you go.
So Mike Fenton on bass writes the music, and Mike Bingham writes the lyrics. He's quoted as saying, quote, "I try to be as honest as I can in writing lyrics. Whatever is consuming me at the time makes its way onto the paper. Anxiety, city living, skateboarding, stealing, being poor." Short of skateboarding, that's most of what your songs are about, right, buddy?
Life, man, right? That's the best way one could be authentic. Anxiety obviously tops that list for me, old buddy.
Yeah. So this is the third release from Spiritual Cramp. They've previously released 2 EPs, 2018's Police State and 2017's Mass Hysteria. These are important to mention because they're the B-side of this LP. So lucky for us, short of the 2021 Here Comes More Bad News EP, we'll get to cover their entire discography in a single episode. Frank, you all stretched out there, buddy? I don't want you to get a cramp on me.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Well, I may have a spiritual cramp after this episode, man.
Excellent. Let's start with the new material, as it's the A-side from Television. Track 1, Eraser.
Ooh.
Frank, the band describes themselves as somewhere between David Byrne's oversized suit and a bar fight between a bunch of drunk goons on Polk Street in San Francisco. That doesn't feel too far-fetched to me. What do you say about the opener?
Yeah, I mean, maybe also throw some modern English in there, my man. I could definitely see some of David Byrne and Brigham for certain together. I was listening actually to a podcast where Bingham talked about his rough life, and I think that's kind of almost led him to this persona in a way, which makes, of course, sense based on that. And this has some 80s new wave mixed with some Clash guitars, gets the head going in all sorts of ways, man.
Nice. Track 2, Upset Stomach.
Oh,
lots of that late 70s English punk inspiration paired with early 2000s kind of garage rock vibes, like the Hives-ish. Frank, how's your stomach?
Dude, every time I have dairy, it's like a never-ending storm. But wait, were you really wanting to know about how my stomach was?
I had some Dairy Queen earlier and I was nervous about it because I was like, I know this is going to be bad, but I couldn't resist. It was too hot out today. You got to have a little Dairy Queen.
Dude, it's like the red storm on Jupiter that just keeps going, dude. It's just
amen, brother.
All in there. Lots of Hives in this, and I know there's a video actually of them covering a Hives song too. So I think both bands maybe have some kindred spirits and maybe some cramps, maybe. And on a side note too, Mark, maybe the Hives deserve a lot more credit too in a lot of the music that we listen to. I think.
I think we're hitting that circular gap, right? Where music's starting to come back and we're really feeling the influence of stuff. It's perfectly reasonable.
Sure. Cool track.
Yeah. Speaking of cool tracks and perfectly reasonable, track 3, Northern Soul Search, some jangly guitars paired with drums pulsating as this number kicks in. Pair that with a bouncing bass line, we get a visitor lurking real cool like on Mission Street. Frank, a Mr. Celebrity. He's back in town. The angst is cranked to 11 here, Frank. Makes you wonder if going for the Northern Soul Search is a good thing or not.
Yeah, and that same podcast, Bingham talks about the chaos and the violence of the city and how his personality is kind of even almost attracted to that. Perhaps during these experiences, he is indeed doing some soul searching. Lots of anger here, probably mimicking and mirroring the city life, I imagine. And of course, go 49ers, because we're talking about San Francisco. So.
Track 4, Television, title track. I'm picking up some heavy ska / Clash vibes with this one, with big old bass line and that upstroke guitar. The chorus of this one repeats the words, "I don't feel safe anywhere I go." Paranoia sure can be frightening. And Spiritual Cramp, boy, is my tongue just tied to it in a knot. And Spiritual Cramp is using it to really layer in some sonic texture here. Frank, your thoughts on the song, and that wraps up the new material written for the LP. What are your thoughts so far?
I mean, I share the same sentiment with regards to Paranoia, which doesn't, of course, help the Greek in me. But anyway, listen, lots of Clash going on here, but after you listen to the first 2 CDs, which are obviously on the latter half of this EP, you would think that really the band would continue maybe going in some sort of Clash direction, but these new songs, they really didn't, not all the way at least, and that expanded their sound, and I really admire that, because they could have just totally been like, hey, we're going to be like Clash light and do these things. So I think these 4 tracks are really interesting for an expansion of the sound.
Yeah, well, we're not actually done with the A side yet. We've still got 2 more tracks. But as I mentioned, that was the end of the original material, because we've got 2 covers. Track 5, Pretty Vacant, of course, originally by the Sex Pistols. Not my favorite of the early British punk movement, but clearly one of drummer Blaine Patrick's, as he insisted the band cover this record. Or cover it for this for a friend's comp that was being put out,
Right.
and they ended up using it here on the LP as well. Frank, your thoughts on the cover?
Listen, everyone knows me and you aren't big into the Pistols. The covers are bad, and all I can say is I'd rather listen to this one than the Pistols. So
yeah, I'll agree to that one. Track 6, Lover's Town Revisited, originally by Billy Bragg. This one was Mike Bingham's idea, saying he had to talk the rest of the band into letting him record it, and that he wasn't particularly thrilled with how he sang it. Frank, you're the Billy Bragg head between the two of us. Your thoughts on the cover?
I mean, first of all, it's a really great song in general. Secondly, I could see where Bingham may have not been too happy with the vocals, as they at some point sound a little muffled. I would have actually liked the band. I know it's a Billy Bragg song, and most of those early ones are just him and the guitar, but I would have liked the band to have been playing on this as well. I think that maybe would have added a little bit more oomph to it.
Okay. Well, it's time for the B-side. So we're going to go track 7, Spiritual Cramp. This one originally from the Police State EP.
Yep.
I'll let you know when we hit mass hysteria. Back to the song. Anyways, always a tough number when writing a song that's the band's name. But they come exploding off the line with just some big early punk energy and a sonic punch to the gut under 2 minutes in length. We hear Bingham contradict himself lyrically to drive home the cramp associated with the righteousness of wearing your righteousness and how it can cramp from it. Frank,
yes,
you're a pretty limber guy. What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, have we mentioned that my youngest daughter is a contortionist?
I wasn't going to mention.
Lots of energy here, and you have a nice mix of early punk and garage rock, and that blends really well. I love how the vocals get a little haunting, which adds to what an overall spookiness to the song.
Track 8, 850 Bryant. Now, some late era Class inspiration with this kind of dub number, complete with news sound bites in reference to police brutality and killings. Spiritual Cramp really captured that reggae spirit of rebellion vibration here. Frank, would you agree?
Yeah, 850 Bryant is a street in San Francisco acting as the backdrop. Could be the most sonically pleasing tune on the record. You get the dub, you get the clash with Mike's vocals really taking us back even to the 80s. The cool thing about the ska reggae is no matter the topic, and this is a heavy topic, there's grooves, right? So it's the penguin acting to the polar bear at the end of the day. So it's pretty cool.
It sure is. Track 9, I Feel Bad Being Me. Frank, I feel like this song is a mutation of London Calling manifesting itself in San Francisco circa 2018. These upbeat drums, that pulsating bass line, the razor sharp guitar strokes, the razor sharp guitar strokes. I just finished watching Stranger Things, so maybe I'm like doing some weird Indiana accent or something. Add to that Bingham's gaping lyrical wound that we can only imagine is what he is referring to when he mentions his anxiety. Quote, I'm always walking into rooms full of people. I'm always wondering if they see what I see. I'm always wondering if they know what I'm thinking. I feel bad being me. I want to come on like an earthquake. Instead, I come on like a headache. It's not something I want everyone to see. I feel bad being me. This is probably my favorite on the album. How about you, Frank?
It's the first tune I heard from them, and I sent you over. So there's always a special place when you have that like kind of initial reaction to the song. It does feel like a modern London Calling for sure, and that's more than okay, as it keeps the spirit of the Clash alive as well. It also reminds me of a track called "Living in the Gutter" by Ian Rubbish and the Bizarros. I don't know if you know of them. Sidebar. That's not a real band, and I'm not really into Saturday Night Live, but Fred Armisen does a really cool skit of a 70s punk band in England where he's obsessed with Margaret Thatcher. It's a funny skit. You got to see it because he hates everything else you would expect them to hate, and then they bring up Margaret Thatcher, and he's like, "I like her," so it's hilarious.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah,
you know what that clip? You know that clip?
I don't, and I was gonna say I'm really happy I didn't pretend to know who you were talking
Oh,
about
good.
for the sake
Okay.
of sounding cool because I had no idea that it was an SNL skit.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Anyway, could be I mean, A50 Bryant's great. This could be my favorite as well.
Very nice, very nice. Track 10, Blood Clot. We get a shift in energy here, starting with the song, the sound of a motorcycle revving up and speeding away with the sound of the ocean quietly churning behind it all. The band keeps the tempo low key and do a fantastic job of using that first minute to really just build it up. The volume just comes up to a roar, and the next thing you know, you can't help but sing along, whether you know the words or not. A wonderfully frantic number. Frank, you got a blood clot?
Well, I hope not.
Oh, I hope not too.
Yeah. Listen, it's hard to separate by the title, this and Rancid's Blood Clot, but they're totally different tunes. Again, you get nice toned down verses, and not an over blaring chorus. So it leaves you with the experience really that you just, you're able to immerse yourself in. So again, really cool.
Track 11, All My Friends Are Out Tonight. All right. The first track from Mass Hysteria here. I always feel like such a freak. I love that line, man. It's just such a cool way, a cool line in the song. Bingham says the song is about how people always say they're just like him, and he doesn't understand it because they couldn't understand how fucked up he is. In a way, we're all a bit in our own fucked up in our own ways, right? So maybe it's anyways, really powerful concept there. Frank, are your friends out tonight? All right.
I mean, you're home chatting with me, so I don't think you're out, right?
No, we're home. Yeah,
you're home. You're home. Yeah, again, in that same podcast, listen, he's had experiences I can never relate to, only empathize with. You could hear the hints of pain in his voice here. Again, brings a very, very authentic vibe to the song.
Yeah. Track 12, Tenderloin. To Frank's point, not a Rancid cover.
No.
It's reasons that it reasons that it's about the same place, though. Specifically, Bingham saying it's about finding a gun on Polk Street in San Francisco, making you wonder what it is about the Tenderloin in San Francisco that makes that just makes such music so interesting, and why these situations and songwriters all come from this one place. Frank?
Yeah, I never put the two and two together, but it makes sense. It's another Clash-esque song with the big bad city as the setting in the story. The band is for sure one that's becoming totally relatable with the place that they're coming from.
Yeah. Track 13, Wrecking Machine. Full disclosure, for the longest time, I thought this was Record Machine. And I was like, Record Machine. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I can see that that's not what it says. Never mind. A good all fast beat floor tom rocker, just straight floor tom, fast as hell. I feel free like a wrecking machine. Ironically, this is where I hear the most Rancid influence.
I hear that too.
In his delivery here. Frank, tell me, are you going to smash The Way I Feel?
Never. I won't smash The Way You Feel. And I do hear some Rancid here. Somewhere between, well, not heaven and hell, but somewhere between Out Come the Wolves and Life Won't Wait. That's kind of the time frame. It's got an old school rock and roll vibe too with its structure. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. It's interesting. Frank and I have both been doing a lot of reading here. And Frank, I'm wondering, I haven't noticed many people talking about Rancid in relation to Spiritual Cramp. Are you feeling a little bit more of that vibe as we're kind of going through this? I'm thinking, man, this really does feel like we're right between And Out Come the Wolves and Life Won't Wait. There's a very big, sure, it's easy to harken it back to the Clash, but it's not far of a stretch to say, oh, wait a minute, that certainly would have been in their periphery.
Absolutely. I mean, I know Lars is a follower of them on the old IG, right? So I know he's aware of them. And if you think of Life Won't Wait, obviously you think of, what the Clash did, but, that is close as an American band getting to the Clash with Life Won't Wait as far as the scope of what the Clash could do. So I guess I'm not saying that Spiritual Cramp is pulling from that, but you could definitely make the argument that they are also pulling from that in relation to the Clash too.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting as their career goes on to see if there's any more, if anyone else notices a bit of a comparison between
Absolutely.
Spiritual Cramp and Rancid. Anyways, moving along. Track 14, The Ice Age Isn't Fucking Coming. The last track on the album, a bombastic commentary on violence and its place in our world, perhaps. It's one hell of a way to close a record, that's for sure. Frank, your thoughts?
It is sure one way to a heck of a way to finish a record called Television. A topic like this contributes to anxiety for sure, and mixed with the city experience. Good thing the band is able to let it out here in the form of music. That's all I got to say.
Well, that gets us through basically 3 EPs and 2 singles bundled into one modern day post-punk LP. Frank, your final thoughts?
Yeah, so when I first heard about them from watching the video by the singer of Touche Amore, I knew based on his description I had to check them out, and then I knew right away I had to let you know about them. So I'm personally surprised how this band isn't bigger. Not only are those 2 EPs good, but placed with the new songs on this LP, it's even better. In fact, too, that 2021 EP that you mentioned earlier, Here Comes More Bad News, is incredible. Oh my God. I like how the new songs really blend the old school punk and the new wave vibe. My only gripe, I'm sure is yours, would be the covers. Northern Soul Search, 850 Bryant, I Feel Bad for Being Me, Blood Clot, all great old punk tunes, but in a new presentation. These are one of those bands that I would say beyond to look for. The upside is massive, and I really look forward to hearing more stuff from them. I give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. And without a doubt, check it out.
Yeah, so this is one where my brother won't have a hard time guessing my ranking for this album. Each of the EPs have so much to bring to the table, and they blend so well together to form that full album. I could have lived without the covers, just as Frank said. I'm openly not a big Sex Pistols fan. And yes, I'm aware of what a sin it is for a punk to say that, but I really don't care, because that'd be the real punk thing to do.
It would be.
They do the song justice, but I would have been fine without it. I think Lovers Town Revisited has much more heart and adds another dimension to the album that Pretty Vacant didn't even approach. So in a gun to my head situation, you can clearly know which one of the 2 I would have kept. I really liked that they front loaded the album with the 4 new songs, all of which built on the energy and angst of their previous work. From those, Television is my favorite song from that set of collection. From Police State, I'm with you, Frank. I Feel Bad Being Me is just my favorite track. But I love how 850 Bryant adds depth and soul to this select section of the record. The tracks from Mass Hysteria are outrageously good for a band, not just for a band's first release, but for any band. I think All of My Friends Are Out Tonight may be my favorite bit of that corner of the album. Overall, I'm a solid 9 out of 10 on Television. I could have been a 10 without the Sex Pistols. Just being honest with you, I fucking hate the Sex Pistols.
I
know. Check out this record.
Fun times, my man. Fun times.
Absolutely. So what do you have cooking for us there old next week, Shefty?
Well, I figured we're going to continue in the search for maybe 80s obscure bands. And since I just picked up this record from the store, which was kind of your recommendation and by your house, I'm going to recommend here Translator. So we're going to do the Translator record. It's their first record. It's called Heartbeats and Triggers. Okay. They're a pretty cool new wave, jangly rock. There is some punk influence that you'll be able to hear, but it's not what's most pertinent about them. They're almost kind of that early kind of REM kind of sound too.
Okay.
So it's another, I think, cool band, and we're gonna give this bad boy a listen.
That sounds funky, my monkey.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, thanks for everyone who listens. Remember, like, subscribe, rate, review, and of course, be safe out there.
Man, you did it. Thanks. And hey, we're serious. Please be safe out there. Anyways, you know how this works. Oh my. Oh hell yes. Oh, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Frank, we're almost out of time.
I know. You see that too.
Oh, scallywag.